Okay, all you military buffs, you're in for a real treat because this trip is all about Old West outposts, World War II memorabilia, all the history that ties this state to its military past. Back in the 1870s, this route was used to transport gold down from the Black Hills of South Dakota to the railroad in Sidney. Sidney Museum and Post Commander's Home in Sidney, which once provided protection for crews working on the Transcontinental Railroad. And this one. As you might guess, the hunting and fishing is pretty great out here. That's why it's no surprise that the world's foremost outfitter, Cabela's, started right here in Sidney. There's also a wildlife museum right in the store. It's definitely a unique shopping experience. Today I'm in search of not gold, but of unique and exciting experiences. Of course, I'll probably still keep my eye out for any gold, you know. This byway cuts through the diverse landscape of the Nebraska Panhandle along U.S. Highway 385 between the northern to the southern borders of the state. Now, the gold miners weren't the only ones who made this area famous. Courthouse and jail rocks just down the way near Bridgeport also served as natural landmarks for the pioneers. You know, if you really look at the two rocks, you can definitely see why the pioneers named them the way they did. Another fine example of military forts in Nebraska is Fort Robinson State Park outside Crawford. This permanent encampment was built in 1874 and played a number of roles before it was decommissioned in 1948. A stop at Fort Robinson Museum reveals that it was the nation's largest quartermaster remount depot, home to the Buffalo Soldiers of the 9th and 10th Cavalry, a canine training facility, and a World War II prisoner of war camp. While the forts were primarily built in the height of the Western migration, an important military site was erected in Nebraska during the Second World War, the Alliance Air Base. The location was considered ideal for paratrooper training, and memorabilia can still be found at the Sallows Military Museum in Alliance. Then it's time for the most unusual sight on the Nebraska horizon. Welcome to Carhenge. That's right, we have our very own hinge, based on the Stony version over in England. Now, this replica is amazingly accurate as far as position and proportion in comparison to Stonehenge. But the obvious difference, aside from its location on the Nebraska prairie, is that Carhenge was constructed out of 38 automobiles. Yep, and you'll even find a 62 Caddy in this creation. You can't miss the Heartland Museum of Military Vehicles here in Lexington. Everywhere you turn, you can see helicopters, tanks, half-tracks, ambulances, and more. All camouflage relics from as far back as World War II. I'm Rick Bolton, tracking down military memorabilia along Nebraska's byways. I'll see you down the road. Okay, let's see, how do I start this thing?